Most only know Sion as the huge nightmarish brute of Noxus, but very few know that he was one of the most respected generals under Boram Darkwill's command. This video is about his journey from being the Noxian general known as the Kingslayer to the living weapon he is today. Sion grew up in Noxus, a hostile nation that valued strength and conquest. Sion quickly rose up the ranks of the Noxian military by showing his skill in combat, slaughtering anyone who stood in his way. As a young soldier, he had taken an oath to never retreat. Because of this, Sion had his own army of loyal men that would follow him into any battle. During Sion's era, Noxus expanded its territory and dominated its foes. Yet, in the west, Demasia's resistance began to intensify. Gradually, they pushed back against the Noxian onslaught, recovering ground and pushing Noxus all the way back behind the walls of Havardis. Sion was angry. He had spilled blood and sweat to claim that land for Noxus. He wouldn't let that happen. Not on his watch. When Sion arrived at Havardis, he found that the Noxians had given up, the commander hiding behind the walls. Sion threw the commander out and ordered an immediate attack on Demasian forces. Only Sion's most loyal warriors had the courage to go with him. The battle was fierce, but Demacia was gaining the upper hand. Sion knew they would lose this battle, so in an effort to fulfill his oath to never retreat, Sion charged through the Demasian forces, his eyes locked on his prize, their leader, King Jarvan I. Jarvan's guards scrambled to stop him, plunging their swords and spears into his charging body. He did not stop. His body was littered with dozens of stab wounds and arrow shafts, but nothing could stop Sion from reaching the king. In an instant, Sion was on Jarvan. Jarvan fought desperately to beat back the beast, but it was in vain. Sion, with renewed strength from his dying body, grabbed Jarvan's throat. Demasian soldiers desperately tried to free their king, but Sion's grip remained locked tight. When the king's body grew limp, Sion died. Without a leader, the Demasian forces retreated. Sometime later, Sion's body was recovered by Noxus, Jarvan's crown still in his grip. His broken body was placed inside a monument to honor his unwavering dedication to Noxus. After Sion's death, the once unstoppable army was scared, discouraged by the loss of one of their mightiest generals. It was a time of uncertainty and vulnerability for the Empire. Demacia was still on the offensive, and Boram Darkwill, the Grand General, was desperate to save his weakening nation. Looking for an answer to Noxus's problems, Boram did something he told himself he would never do. He asked the Lady of Blood, Ferris Norridi, the leader of the Grey Legion, for help. Boram knew that the Black Rose and the Grey Legion had magical doctors that could potentially revive Sion. They agreed to help, and Dr. Esslinger began his work using blood magic to bring Sion back to life. Darkwill did not like what he saw. He envisioned a Sion that would lead armies again and restore glory to Noxus, but what he saw was a monster. Sion's body was being held together by metal plates. His left leg was missing and replaced by a metal peg. His eyes and tummy were glowing red, the blood magic flowing through him. Dr. Esslinger seems like he was a bit of an eccentric fashion designer as well, because the bottom half of Sion's jaw was now the crown of Jarvan I. A great design choice and a reminder of his past glory. Boram was furious. He told Lady Norridi that this had all been a waste of time and that this revived version of Sion was not fit to lead an army. But the crown was a nice touch. She told him that Sion had never truly been a leader, but was actually just a killer. And now he was perfect for that role. As a monster, he did not fear, he did not question, he did not die. Darkwill accepted Sion, having no other choice to save his dying nation. Sion was an effective weapon, destroying anything in his path with his giant axe. However, his victories came at a high cost. Sion killed enemies and allies with no remorse. The soldiers that fought alongside him were now fearful of him. Sion was once their hero, and now he was their worst nightmare. Once Noxus had reclaimed some of their vital territory back from Demacia, Darkwill ordered Sion to be put back inside his memorial secretly, so he couldn't be used again to harm another Noxian. Confined, the blood magic that sustained Sion's life overwhelmed his thoughts with fury. Sion would stay here locked up for many years until a certain someone became the leader of Noxus. When Swain became the Grand General, he found Boram's journal entries speaking of a resurrected horror within the Sion monument. Swain immediately ordered the monument inspected and opened, and within the monument he found Noxus's once great general. It pained him to see such a legend reduced to madness. He felt sad for Sion, but Rom told Swain that in his current state, he was incapable of suffering. Convinced, Swain looked to use Sion as a weapon to fortify his new armies. Swain's first use for Sion would ironically be as a weapon against Havardis, which ended up rebelling against Noxian rule. Sion was going to be their punishment. Sion killed everyone in sight, leaving allies and enemies butchered. With his bare hands, he tore apart the buildings of Havardis. Other cities that had left Noxus rule soon surrendered, fearing that they would be Sion's next target. His job was complete. After the battle, Sion was ordered back to his tomb by Swain. Sion was confused. His broken mind believed that Demacia had captured him as their pride and had left him to rot in a prison cell. Haunted by the loss of his leg and the absence of pain in his undead body, Sion tried to hold on to the memories that kept slipping away, being overtaken by the blood magic. He often wondered if anyone would come save him and for how long he would stay caged. This is the life of the forgotten general of Noxus, destined to continue this endless cycle of being used as a living weapon. Currently, Noxus prepares for its second invasion of Ionia, and Sion is sure to be at the helm of those battles, a tool in Swain's arsenal. The success of this invasion could be a turning point, but questions linger about the influence of Swain's unseen master. What role will this unseen figure play in Sion's destiny and the broader scheme of the invasion? Click here on this video to find out more.